Well, they had a lot of problems at that time, with a lot of crime and stuff. And that's one of the reasons that I was able to keep my kids at home. I know Michael always complained, but he never did have a childhood. He had a wonderful childhood. Why I say that? Because his childhood, he was there with his brothers and sisters. He always played with them. I just didn't want him out there playing with the kids and stuff that always in trouble.
Michael Jackson rose to become the undisputed king of pop, yet behind the worldwide success was a deeply complicated relationship with a man who shaped his earliest years. Joe Jackson played a crucial role in building Michael's extraordinary career, but many believe that the same relentless drive came at a lasting emotional cost. The controversy grew even more painful when Joe later spoke publicly about his son on live television. Rather than expressing remorse, he defended his actions, dismissed much of the criticism, and even drew comparisons between Michael and Jermaine Jackson. For countless fans, it was another heartbreaking reminder that Michael never seemed to receive the recognition and understanding he longed for from his own father. That is the moment this story shifts from music history into something far more personal and deeply unsettling.
You saw magic in Michael.
I saw magic in all of them with Michael leading the songs, yeah. Mm-hmm. But Jermaine's a very good leader too. Jermaine, it's kind of hard to tell which one's the better singer, but I think Jermaine may be just a little bit better ballad singer.
Long before Michael Jackson became the world's biggest music icon, even his own father was reportedly uncertain that he should be the group's lead singer. Michael later shared that it was his mother, Katherine Jackson, who repeatedly encouraged Joe Jackson to give him a chance, because Joe had already become convinced that Jermaine Jackson possessed the strongest voice in the family. That revelation makes the story even more emotional. Despite being blessed with extraordinary talent, unmatched charisma, and a remarkable musical gift, Michael still struggled to earn full recognition inside his own home. Years before stadiums echoed with his name, he was chasing something far more meaningful than fame: the approval of the father whose opinion carried the greatest weight. Many believe that longing for acceptance remained with him throughout his life, even after he had conquered the world.
My mother caught me making my bed one day, and I was singing. And she said to my father that I could sing, and he didn't want to hear of it. He said that Jermaine's the lead singer, not Michael. My mother said, Joe, you really should hear him sing. He can sing. He goes, no, Jermaine's the lead singer of the group, and that's it. She forced him to listen to me, and once he listened to me, from that moment on, I was the lead.
But life inside the Jackson household was about far more than perfecting songs and dance routines. Michael Jackson later revealed that rehearsals were often overshadowed by fear. According to Michael, Joe Jackson would sit nearby holding a belt as the children practiced, and even the smallest mistake could lead to immediate punishment. From the outside, the Jackson Five appeared to be a happy family on an extraordinary journey towards stardom. Behind closed doors, however, Michael described a very different reality, one where perfection was expected without exception. Fear became part of everyday life, and mistakes were answered with discipline instead of comfort. Those early experiences, he believed, remained with him long after fame arrived, leaving emotional scars that helped shape the man the world would eventually know as the king of pop.
Because he used me as the example. It was like, do it like Michael. And he practiced us with a belt in his hand. And if you miss a step, expect to be...
Just let me go back. You just said that you would practice the dance steps and your father would be holding a belt in his hand. Is that what you just said?
Yes. And he would tear you up if you missed. And so not only were we practicing, we were nervous rehearsing, because he sat in a chair and he had this belt in his hand. And if you didn't do it the right...
Michael Jackson never described Joe Jackson's discipline as ordinary or as the kind of strict parenting that simply demanded high standards. In Michael's memories, rehearsals were about far more than mastering songs or sharpening choreography. They became moments defined by relentless pressure and constant fear. Joe drove his sons to pursue perfection without compromise, expecting flawless performances every time they stepped into practice. Yet, even after Michael became the standout talent everyone admired, the pressure never felt like encouragement or recognition. Instead, it remained tied to anxiety, punishment, and the fear of making even the smallest mistake. Looking back years later, Michael admitted those experiences never truly faded. Worldwide fame, countless awards, and historic success could not erase the emotional weight of those early years. If anything, they served as lasting reminders of a childhood he often felt had been taken from him before he ever had the chance to truly live it.
How often would he beat you?
Too much.
Would he only use a belt?
Why do you do this to me? No, more than a belt.
What else would he use to hit you with?
Ironing cords. Whatever's around. Throw you up against the wall as hard as he could. See, it's one thing to...
But you were only a child.
I know.
You were a baby.
I know. It's one thing to discipline.
And you were producing successful records.
I know. He would lose his temper. I just remember hearing my mother scream, "Joe, you're gonna kill him, you're gonna kill him, stop it, you're gonna kill him," and I was so fast, he couldn't catch me half the time, but when he would catch me, oh my God.
Even after Michael Jackson had become one of the most recognizable people in the world, conversations about Joe Jackson still appeared to leave him visibly uncomfortable. During one interview, when asked whether his father had been too strict, Michael paused for a moment, let out a nervous laugh, and joked that Joe would kill him if he answered honestly. Yet many viewers believed there was far more hidden beneath that brief moment of humor. It did not come across as a simple story about growing up with a demanding parent. Instead, it felt like the reaction of a man who, despite unimaginable fame and success, still carried emotional wounds from his childhood. The King of Pop could stand before packed stadiums filled with thousands of cheering fans, but the mere mention of his father's name seemed capable of reviving emotions he had spent decades trying to leave behind.
Strong parents, I think, are very important, especially in our situation. If he hit me, I would hit him back, which was terrible. And I would run around the house and hide and all that stuff. But I would really get it more than anybody.
Do you think your father was too strict?
Yes. No, he's gonna kill me.
He's gonna get you still worried about that. Well, he feels that he was strict.
I'm glad he said it. Now I'll say it, yeah.
While the world watched Michael Jackson smile on stage, shatter records, and accept countless awards, Toya Jackson described a far more painful reality hidden away from public view. According to Toya, Michael was not only affected by memories of his childhood. She believed those emotional wounds continued to follow him long after he became the world's biggest superstar. That is what gives this story its deepest emotional weight. Fame brought Michael extraordinary success, immense wealth, and the admiration of millions, but Toya believed none of those achievements could erase the lasting impact of his early experiences. He could appear fearless before enormous crowds, yet the pain she associated with Joe Jackson's strict discipline remained something he carried in silence. In Toya's eyes, the young boy who longed for his father's love and approval never truly disappeared, no matter how legendary the King of Pop eventually became.
Still followed him.
Well, what was it like at home?
It was very, very hard. My father was very strict. He beat us.
Well, when you say he beat you, did he spank you, whip you? I mean, what?
He had a belt, you say in the book. Belts, whips, whatever. My brothers were grown, and my father would take his fist and he would punch them and knock them down the steps constantly.
Would they provoke
him? To
him?
this day, no, of course not. To this day, they are still afraid of my father, and they will tell you. They come to me and they say, "Well, Toya, we have kids in college, and we're afraid of my father still today." But my mother allowed this to go on, which makes it so bad. She didn't stop it.
She, too, was a victim, wasn't she?
My mother, by my father, according to my brother, yes. According to Michael, he would tell me he would see my father beating my mother. I had never seen my father beat my mother, but he beats all of us.
So did this persist all through your childhood and continue into your young adulthood?
Adults, everything. I mean, Michael was doing, I think it was Off the Wall, Thriller, and he was still getting beat, but what you guys see is him up on the awards, accepting these awards, and smiling. My father's chasing him around the house.
What makes this chapter even more emotional is Toya Jackson's claim that Michael Jackson was the child who was most willing to resist. Yet according to her, rather than openly confronting the past, the family often responded with silence or denial. Many believe that is one reason Michael's emotional struggles remained hidden behind the carefully crafted image of a flawless entertainment dynasty. To television audiences, the Jackson family appeared gifted, disciplined, and unstoppable. Away from the cameras, however, stories emerged of conflict, fear, and emotional wounds that never completely faded. For Michael, the greatest burden may not have been only what happened during those early years, but the feeling that the pain he carried was rarely recognized or fully understood by those around him. Perhaps that is why, even decades later, discussions about Joe Jackson and his relationship with Michael continue to be among the most moving and controversial chapters in the life story of the King of Pop.
You said that Michael was the only one that actually tried to fight back and tried to hit your father.
He was a little boy, yes. He was the only one. I don't think he knew exactly what he was doing, but the more he would get beat, he'd throw it back at him and throw it straight. He would have to always get the last lick in, always.
What's been the reaction of your family to this book?
I have no idea. My parents, of course, they're denying it, and of course, typical that they would deny it. Denial is the first sign of dysfunctional, and as well. However, outsiders have accepted the book, and they understand. They understand about the abuse. There wasn't just physical abuse.
When Joe Jackson's parenting was brought up with Tito Jackson, his response surprised many Michael Jackson fans. Instead of describing Joe as cruel, Tito defended him. He admitted that their father was extremely strict, but insisted he had his reasons, and even called him one of the greatest men he had ever known. That response reveals just how divided the Jackson family story has always been. Some saw Joe as the tough father who pushed his children toward greatness. Others focused on the emotional cost of that success and the pain that came with it. And for many fans of Michael, that distinction matters. Because the same discipline that helped create the Jackson 5 also left lasting scars on the child who would grow up to become the biggest star in the family and one of the most famous entertainers the world has ever seen.
People have an assessment of the way that you were raised. It's in the news, like people talk about, Joe and how he raised you. Did you feel any level of resentment? Did you think that was unnecessary or just what you needed?
What I say about that is people can say what they want. I know my life, my lifestyle. I respect people respect me. And my father was strict, but he had his reasons. You didn't think that those.
Tito Jackson continued to defend Joe Jackson, yet even his defense could not completely overshadow the emotional weight of Michael Jackson's childhood. Tito described his father's strict approach as the result of relentless determination and an unwavering belief that his children could achieve greatness. But extraordinary success does not always erase emotional scars. In many cases, it simply conceals them behind worldwide fame, standing ovations, and countless achievements. Michael grew into a global icon admired across every corner of the world, yet one question has continued to follow his story. What personal price did he pay to reach that level of greatness? That is what makes this chapter so difficult to define. The same father who helped build the Jackson 5 into a worldwide phenomenon also became the source of the fears and insecurities Michael later described. To some, Joe Jackson remains the visionary who created a musical dynasty. To others, he is remembered as the father whose relentless methods left emotional wounds that even legendary success could never fully erase.
Years. Our parents didn't spare the rod, man.
Right.
You did something wrong, you were scared to go home.
Right.
So that's just the way it was.
And that's I always thought, like, look, I can't. That man, I wasn't in that household, but I can say this: your name is written in the stars, and you have to have to some degree, some level of appreciation for what got you there.
Absolutely.
So
totally.
you were appreciative of it.
Oh man, I've always said way back in the day that I think that my father did a fantastic job. I think he's one of the greatest men. And today a lot of men.
Tito Jackson never stopped defending Joe Jackson, but even his explanation could not erase the emotional questions surrounding Michael Jackson's childhood. Tito portrayed his father's demanding nature as the product of fierce ambition and an unshakable determination to see his children reach extraordinary success. Yet greatness does not always heal the wounds created on the journey toward it. Sometimes those scars are simply hidden beneath sold-out arenas, endless applause, and historic achievements. Michael became one of the most celebrated entertainers the world had ever seen, but a difficult question has continued to follow his legacy. What did he have to give up to become the king of pop? That is what makes this story so emotionally complex. The same father who transformed the Jackson 5 into a global phenomenon also became the man Michael later associated with fear, pressure, and lasting emotional pain. To some, Joe Jackson will always be remembered as the visionary who built a legendary dynasty. To others, he remains the father whose relentless pursuit of perfection left scars that even worldwide fame could never truly heal.
He could never hit Michael. He swing over here, Michael's over there. So
all of this stuff, and we have to talk about that. All the stuff that's going on with Michael. How does that make you feel? What do you
Well, it makes me feel really bad because Michael is probably one of the most different type of people. Growing up, his life is basically who he is. He was a kid all his life, and he never got things to do that most kids do, play outside. And
you thought that hurt his development?
Well, it makes him want to do things longer, I think. He still was enjoying Mickey Mouse and Disneyland movies and things like that. So that's basically where he was as a person.
That also explains why Michael's later world looked so childlike to people on the outside. For him, it was not just fantasy or strange behavior. It was a way of reaching for the childhood he felt was taken from him. Neverland, toys, games, animals, amusement rides, and time around children were all connected to something deeper. Michael was trying to rebuild a part of life he never got to enjoy. Many people judged it from the outside, but to Michael, it was tied to a wound that began long before fame became global.
Totally wrong. I think the world has him wrong. He was a very loving person. I think he's kind of the persons that felt that when he was growing up, he wouldn't want a kid to get spanked the way he was,
right,
or whatever. Or he's very giving. If a kid needs help in the hospital or school or needs to go to...
Even while discussing Michael Jackson's compassion toward children, Joe Jackson appeared to credit himself for part of that quality, suggesting that Michael may have inherited his caring nature from him. For many fans, however, that remark felt deeply uncomfortable. They believed Michael's connection with children came from something far more personal than family traits. It reflected the childhood he often said he never truly experienced. To those supporters, his kindness was not simply something passed from one generation to the next. It was something shaped by his own life. Michael spoke openly about growing up under relentless pressure, living with fear, and missing the ordinary joys that define childhood. Because of those experiences, many believe he devoted himself to giving children the happiness, freedom, and sense of innocence that he had spent much of his own life longing to find.
I guess Michael got it from me. I don't wish bad on nobody, But when somebody break the rules and it can be proven that they broke the rules, it has to be dealt with the law.
In an interview following Michael Jackson's death, Joe Jackson was asked directly about the emotional pain many people believed his son had endured while growing up. Rather than expressing remorse, Joe rejected those criticisms, maintaining that he had simply done what any determined parent would do to raise successful children. To some, his response sounded like a father standing by the choices he believed had built an extraordinary legacy. But for many of Michael's supporters, it suggested that Joe still failed to recognize the difference between strict discipline and lasting fear. Over the years, Michael had spoken candidly about the emotional wounds of his childhood and the scars he believed followed him into adulthood. Yet Joe continued to describe those years as ordinary parenting. That is what makes this chapter so difficult to reconcile. Even after Michael shared his own experiences with the world, father and son never appeared to reach the same understanding of what those formative years had truly meant.
Parenting.
What do you say about all these things that have been said over the years that you harmed Michael as a child?
Oh, that's a bunch of bull. That's a bunch of bull.
Straighten me out.
And that's not true.
You never physically harmed him?
Never have. And I raised him just like you would raise your kids, you know. But harm Michael for what? I have no reason. That's my son.
Joe Jackson also told Larry King that he believed he had made no mistakes in the way he raised his children. He firmly denied ever beating Michael Jackson and rejected the allegations of abuse that had surrounded the family for decades. For many fans, what stood out was not simply the denial itself, but the certainty with which it was delivered. Years earlier, Michael had openly described growing up with fear and had spoken about the punishments he remembered from his childhood. Even so, Joe continued to dismiss the most serious accusations without hesitation. That lasting divide is one of the reasons the relationship between father and son remains such an emotional subject. Michael spoke of pressure, fear, and emotional wounds that he believed stayed with him throughout his life, while Joe maintained that his parenting methods were necessary and left him with nothing to regret. To many supporters, it felt as though Michael's deeply personal experiences were still being challenged, or even dismissed, long after his voice had fallen silent.
Joe, do you have any at all bad feelings about the way Michael was raised? I know you're denying the stories about violence, but as you look at it, were there any mistakes you made?
I didn't make no mistakes, Larry, because Michael was raised properly. He didn't run the streets like most of those other kids that was in his neighborhood. Michael
why did he say that you
listen now, you gotta understand me. Don't cut me off.
And when Larry King reminded him that Michael Jackson himself had spoken about it on national television, Joe Jackson still refused to accept it. He said he didn't know when Michael had made those comments, and once again denied ever beating him. That moment revealed just how far apart their memories of the past really were. Michael had cried while talking about his childhood. He admitted that he felt terrified of his father and described the fear that stayed with him long after he became famous. But Joe's response never changed. He continued to deny the harshest parts of Michael's story and insisted he had simply done what was necessary to raise successful children. For many fans, this was about more than a disagreement between a father and son. It felt like Michael's pain was still being dismissed, even after his death. The king of pop had shared his truth with the world, yet the person whose approval he spent his life chasing never seemed willing to fully acknowledge the hurt that truth contained.
Didn't he once say that you were physically, emotionally abusive to him?
I've never been abusive to him. Never have.
But did he say that? Did he ever say that, to your knowledge?
Well, I don't know whether he said that or not, but I hear the media keep hollering about him. I never my son.
Larry, can I say something, Joe? Larry, do you know?
Wait, Ro, let me handle this right here. Let me handle this. The media keep hollering about saying that I beat my son. That's not true. You know where this beating started? The beating started in the slavery days. They used to beat the slaves, and then they used to torture them. That's where this beating started, at these slave masters. And that's where that come from. But, hey, there's a lot of people in America, Larry. A lot of people in America spank the kids, you know. If they say they don't, they're lying. They're lying. And Michael was...
Perhaps one of the most revealing moments in the relationship between Michael Jackson and Joe Jackson came years later during a visit to Las Vegas. When Joe arrived hoping to see his son, Michael reportedly did not welcome him immediately. Instead, he asked a single, emotionally distant question. Did Joseph have an appointment? Those few words spoke volumes. They revealed more than many interviews ever could about the distance that had grown between them. To many observers, this did not sound like a global superstar turning away an unexpected visitor. It sounded like a son who had spent years building emotional boundaries with the man who had once directed nearly every aspect of his childhood. Michael had become one of the most influential entertainers in history, yet when it came to Joe, many believe the emotional wounds of his early years were scars he could never completely leave behind.
I recall the time that when we settled in Vegas and Joe Jackson came to the house, and he requested to see his son. And I went inside to tell Mr. Jackson, your father's here and your father would like to see you. And his first words was, does Joseph have an appointment? He did not. And certainly we did have an itinerary, each week of who he'd be seeing, who would he be calling, who would call him, who would be visiting, where we needed to go. So we knew everything and everybody that was going to be visiting him. And that one particular day, his father wasn't on the itinerary, but I didn't know the true dynamics of that relationship when he asked me, does Joseph have an appointment? And I told him he did not. He said, tell Joseph he needs an appointment. He needs to make an appointment.
And when Joe was told he could not see Michael,
When Joe Jackson was informed that he would not be able to see Michael Jackson, his reported reaction suggested that the distance between father and son had never truly disappeared. Rather than accepting the situation quietly, Joe reportedly declared that none of his children would have achieved success without him. In that moment, many felt his perspective was unmistakable. He still viewed himself as the architect of the family's extraordinary legacy, and in many respects, he had indeed helped build one of the most successful dynasties in entertainment history. Yet the question that has continued to follow that legacy is far more difficult. What personal price was paid to create it? The child who carried the group's greatest expectations also carried emotional burdens that lasted well beyond childhood. Joe often looked back at the achievements, while Michael spoke about the fear. Perhaps that is why, despite the records, awards, and worldwide acclaim, their relationship remains one of the most heartbreaking and deeply complicated chapters in the life of the King of Pop.
Remembered the pain.
That was probably one of the hardest things I had to do, is to go tell somebody's father that you need an appointment to see your child. But I didn't tell him that. I said, Mr. Jackson, your son is in the studio. It's loud. They're not answering. And I tried to give him my business card that he can give me a call tomorrow, the next day, and I'll make sure, you get in to see him. He didn't take that well at all. And he just yelled at me, wasn't for me. None of you would have these jobs. I started this. I was not going to get into an argument with Joe Jackson. I just listened to what he had to say, and I walked off. And that was hard for me to realize that's where their relationship is, that he needed.
If you've stayed with us until the end, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive. Thank you for watching and for being part of the conversation. We'll see you in the next story.